You are not overthinking because you are weak. You are overthinking because your brain is stuck in a loop. And neuroscience has now identified exactly where that loop lives. Right now, somewhere in your brain, a network called the default mode network is running. Scientists call it the DMN. It is the part of your brain that activates when you have nothing to do. It generates thoughts about the past. It generates thoughts about the future. It replays conversations. It rehearses arguments that will never happen. It asks questions that have no answers. This is normal. Every human brain does this. The problem is not the default mode network itself. The problem is what happens when it gets stuck. In a healthy brain, the DMN switches off when you need to focus. Another network takes over. The salience network, your brain's attention controller, detects that something in the real world needs your attention. It flips a switch. The DMN goes quiet. You engage with the present moment. But in an overthinking brain, that switch gets stuck. The salience network loses its flexibility. It cannot flip off the DMN when the moment requires action. And so the loop keeps running, even when you tell it to stop, even when you know the thought is irrational, even when you have already thought about it 1,000 times. Neuroscientists call this a switching failure, not a discipline failure, not a character flaw, a switching failure. A 2026 study published in Translational Psychiatry by researchers at Japan's Advanced Telecommunications Research Institute used real-time fMRI brain scanning to map exactly where this loop lives. They found that rumination, the endless mental replay that drives anxiety and overthinking, corresponds to specific measurable patterns in brain activation. The loop is real. It is visible on a brain scan. And here is the part that most people never hear. Trying to think your way out of overthinking makes it worse, not slightly worse, significantly worse. When you analyze an anxious thought, when you examine it, question it, try to reframe it, you are using the same neural network that generated it. You are feeding the loop. The research is explicit about this. Analytical thinking and rumination share the same neural architecture. Every time you try to solve an overthinking loop with more thinking, you strengthen the very pathway you are trying to escape. This is why smart analytical people often suffer the most from overthinking. They are better at thinking, which means they are better at running the loop. So what actually works? Neuroscience has identified 3 specific interventions that interrupt the DMN loop. Not by thinking differently, but by changing what your brain is doing at the physical level. Intervention 1. Physical movement. Not exercise as a lifestyle choice. Movement as an emergency interrupt. When you move your body, even just standing up and walking to another room, your motor cortex activates. Motor cortex activation competes directly with DMN activity. They cannot both run at full power simultaneously. Movement physically interrupts the overthinking loop in a way that willpower cannot. A 2023 study found that 5 minutes of low-intensity movement reduced rumination scores by 40%. Not over weeks of practice, but immediately. The next time you feel the loop starting, do not sit with it. Move. Intervention 2. Sensory grounding. The overthinking loop lives in the past and the future. It cannot run in the present moment. Your senses only exist in the present moment. When you deliberately engage a sense, touch something cold, listen carefully to a specific sound, look at something with focused attention, you force your brain into sensory processing mode. Sensory processing and rumination use different neural resources. You cannot fully do both at once. This is not positive thinking. This is not mindfulness as a lifestyle. This is a targeted neurological interrupt. 5 seconds of deliberate sensory engagement is enough to weaken the loop's grip. Intervention 3. Scheduled worry time. This sounds counterintuitive, but the research behind it is some of the strongest in the field. When you try to suppress an anxious thought, when you tell your brain not to think about something, you activate the very neural network associated with that thought. Psychologists call this the ironic process theory. The brain must think about a thought to know it should not think about the thought. Suppression creates the opposite of what you want. Scheduled worry time works differently. You choose one specific 20-minute window each day. During that window, you are allowed to worry about everything. Write it down, think it through, let the loop run. Outside of that window, when an anxious thought appears, you tell your brain, "Not now. We deal with that at 6 p.m. Multiple clinical trials have shown this reduces intrusive thoughts by up to 35% within 2 weeks. Not because you solved the problems you were worrying about, because you gave your brain a container. And a brain with a container stops flooding. Here is what all three of these interventions have in common. None of them involve thinking harder. None of them involve willpower. None of them require you to be stronger, smarter, or more disciplined. They work because they change what your brain is physically doing. Overthinking is not a character flaw, it is a stuck switch. And switches can be unstuck. Not by force, by understanding exactly what kind of machine your brain actually is. You are not broken for overthinking. You are running a very powerful brain, in a world it was never designed for, without anyone ever handing you the manual. Consider this your first page.